Hello, and welcome to the next level. We are coming to you tonight with... Hi.
Oh dear.
It's going to be
He's
one of those
possessed.
episodes.
Kill him. I didn't
we've
get to
got-
murder anything last time.
We've
so.
got lots of energy tonight, and apparently can't talk. So, we will start by saying that, yes, the fun thing for tonight is if you... we're going to have another magic number episode, so I have already rolled a number, and if you want to give us lots of fun suggestions for things that could happen to characters when that number is rolled, then things and or many numbers of those things will happen. Apparently our characters are just plagued by odd magic zones, and that's fine. So we've got that. Good. And as a recap, our characters had returned from the Temple of the Archmage and freeing Alphonse to Silver Lake to find out, to resupply, which they did. They were going to go into the Shadow Forest, but through the some of the shopping and other things, one of the characters, Leon, realized that they were being followed. That led to them tracking down the source of who was having the people following Leon, a Firbolg, and that led to some mild semi-murdering. But Torok eventually prayed to the god in his stuffy, got some guidance, and picked up the Firbolg and left. And everyone else followed, and now we are traveling across the Ramadine Desert, and everyone's maybe just a little bit confused as to what's going on. So we will pick up as the day dawns and the chilly night fades into a relatively pleasant morning, but you can still feel the heat that's building in, and that is probably going to be a rather warm day. You will say that you've had your full 8 hours rest, even though you went to bed quite late. Maybe you slept in just a little bit, and you are now packing up, getting ready to travel for the day. There are some questions that are being brought forward by some of the companions that you have chosen to bring with you. But is there anything you are doing as the day starts?
Taking stock of my inventory, making sure I haven't forgotten anything, wondering whether or not my boots are going to end up with a bunch of sand in them again like last time.
You are fearing that is going to be the case.
Are the boots and other things? What?
And other places, yes. Sand gets everywhere.
I will mention, you probably did, once the Firbolg had reverted back to their regular form, divest them of their items and weapons. By doing so, and I'll assume that the magical members of your party have otherwise spent a little bit of time looking at the magical items that the Firbolg had, you now have in your possession a regular longsword, a +2 longbow, mithril breastplate, and 7 potions. 4 of which, 6 of them are healing potions of various levels, and then a potion of speed. Which essentially gives you the effects of haste for a minute, roughly, I believe.
Well,
so yes, +2 longbow, mithril breastplate. And just to be clear, I know mithril, I've been creating special rules for mithril armor. This one has a special rule of it allows the dexterity bonus of the person wearing it to be +3 and as opposed to +2. So if you have a +3 dexterity, this breastplate will allow you to add your full dexterity to, in addition to wearing the mithril armor. And then yes, 4 potions of healing, 1 of greater healing, 1 of supreme healing, and 1 of speed. 4 regular, 1 greater, 1 supreme.
who's going to hold on to the potions?
Bag of holding?
I say we distribute it, and we give some to perhaps some of the people that are with us.
Yep.
Yeah, Torok has 1 potion of greater healing right now.
Yeah, so does Gildy.
I have 1 greater and 2 regular.
Yeah, and 2 Torok has 1 greater and 2 regular as well.
I have, I have 1 regular. I don't think I have anything super fancy.
Well, if you
Leon
want to
has
give 1 each of the regulars to the other characters, that would leave 1 regular, 1 greater, 1 supreme.
Well, let's give a greater to Mint, so that Mint has a greater.
Okay.
Ooh.
So 1 regular and 1 supreme, assuming you're giving away 3 to the 3 new people.
We've got a few regulars, so
okay. So they're getting a regular potion of healing.
Does it make sense for Leon to have the supreme? Leon, you could probably get to people better than.
Yeah, you can move around the field.
either that or Torok should have it because Torok
So-
has plus 2 points.
So Leon already has a potion of supreme healing, a potion of superior healing, and 2 regular healing potions.
Okay, Torok can take the supreme.
All right.
Then
Always wanted to
maybe
be in the.
Alphonse can have the last regular.
That works. I forgot
Yes.
about Alphonse, yeah.
Mhm.
Could you forget about Alphonse?
Well, I know. Because he was always been a part of the group for the
It's
last
'cause-
many episodes. So
It's because he's short.
That's probably why.
You overlooked him.
Oh, anyway. Yes.
In the morning, also, if there's time, I would like to try to do a little meditation. And also at 6th level, apparently alchemists can make 2 experimental elixirs. So I have 2 today.
Nice.
Resilience, extra AC, and boldness, extra attack and saving throw stuff.
Nice. If you want to give me a roll, we can do the meditation.
Was it just straight intelligence?
I think you have intelligence, maybe with advantage, given something that you have. I think you have something that gives you advantage.
I think so. I'll go through my notes and double check. But
Yeah.
I'll roll twice.
Anytime that
18.
Leon notices that Jacob is meditating, she is going to cast Detect Magic and then go and silently observe from a safe distance, just
Okay.
to see if there's any sign of anything going on.
All right. So yeah, Jacob, you managed to find it relatively easy this morning. And maybe it's just the nice soft shifting sands beneath you as you sort of sit down. You've got a nice comfortable spot, and the darkness sort of descends over you, and Mirdu appears, sort of coalesces out of the darkness and sort of blinks a little bit and realizes she's there and you're there, and it feels like it's been a while, but that could just be where I am in my strange place.
You had mentioned last time that that someone who knows a lot about death would be able to help you, and so I've gotten identified the queen of the Elenine elves.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Do you know Nyelva Siori?
I have never met her, but I have heard of her.
How is someone who knows a lot about death going to be able to help us? Not entirely clear on that point.
If you recall, there are things that it is difficult for me to talk about. That is one of them. But think on that. Ask yourself that question, see if anything comes up. See maybe if there's more you can remember about our time together early on. If there's anything in there that might help, I can perhaps fill you in a little bit on that and things I can say.
Well, you also dropped quite the bombshell that you're responsible for my memory loss.
Yes.
A little more information about that would be appreciated.
I have for some time felt the need to protect you. And that night, when your master, the gnome, was attacked, there was a couple of things that were happening. The attack itself was rather gruesome, and if the people that were coming after your master were able to find you, I didn't want you to know what you knew, because that is ultimately what they were after. They were seeking your knowledge in artificing. So I thought I could protect you. I could cast a bit of a spell on you to forget. I did not think it would be as effective as it was. I think I was a little scared for you, and I went a little overboard. Something happened to me as well. I ended up here. I think because I used a little too much energy.
I do remember when we were kids, we were sitting on a fence, and you admitted to me that you were dead. How did you die?
Was a little bit of time ago, and I was always curious about death. I wanted to know what happened after death. What were there afterlives? Was there nothing? What questions like these I was always curious about, and I wanted to know more. And through a process, I eventually died, but managed to live on a little bit after that. And yeah, I now know at least what happens after death in this scenario. But yes, I'd always studied death. I had always been very curious about death. I perhaps became a bit of an expert on death, I suppose, which is why I think you need to find another expert on death, and perhaps some light could be shed on things. For, again, there are certain things I cannot say. Apparently, there are rules to this place.
With what you did that bind you to me, or was that something unintentional that happened later?
I think I sort of bound myself to you. You were the first friend I'd had in a long time. And I liked that, and I stuck with you.
I should be getting back to my friends, but before I go, if I find this person that can help with death, is there any questions or advice that I can ask them that would help out your situation?
I think telling them my name and asking them what they know about me.
I look at her a little suspiciously for one of the first times. I know I have very positive memories of a childhood friend. There's just some uneasiness, I think between us because of everything that I've discovered so far.
Yeah. She sort of sighs a little bit. It's like, I hope someday I am able to give you the answers and the assistance that you need.
Until tomorrow.
Till tomorrow. She fades back into the darkness. And you wake up, and yeah, sort of bright desert light is shining down on you at this point.
I sit there for a moment, just kind of taking it all in before I join the others.
And Leon, what you would have sensed is probably a bit of a if anything, just a bit of like sort of necromancy, vaguely, around Jacob. You're muted.
I'm not going to say anything. That's why I was muted. And I'm just going to basically, just covertly observe, make mental note of that, and then see if Jacob mentions the fact that he's made contact or anything. And if he doesn't, then I'll just continue with my covert observation whenever I see him.
All right.
To be honest, I can't remember what I've told the other PCs.
I was actually just about to ask because I'm I feel like we know some things, but I don't remember what we know and what we don't.
I think at one point I opened up a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, you've at least told Leon a fair amount because we had a conversation, and then I was able to tell you a lot about your past.
Right.
Yes.
So you've shared a lot with me, but I don't think that the others were necessarily around for that.
Okay. And I think I mentioned about wanting to at some point go to the forest.
Yep.
For your information, some of the newer characters that have been chosen to go with the group, I'm going to be handing them over to be played by some of our great players here. Melinda and Belinda, the guard twins, will be played by Dee and Will, I believe, respectively. And Alphonse is now going to be played by Carolyn. I'm going to keep control of Kess. And just to get that interesting conversation started, the group of them, not Alphonse, but Melinda, and Kess, come over to sort of the group of you as you're getting these ready. And the guard twins actually look a little bit to Kess. They seem to come as a group, but Kess is the one who sort of steps forward and is like, I can't help but notice we're going in the wrong direction if the intent was to go to the Shadow Forest. So just wondering. Just wondering.
Who is being addressed?
Pretty much all of you, sort of as a group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mentioned as we were leaving that there was a slight situation that arose and things sort of changed. We are still going to the forest. We just have a stop to make that isn't quite on the way.
And Torok will look like matter of fact, not a glint of hesitation in his eye, and says, we need to turn this man over to a god. And then just go about his work.
Okay. And is that god in the desert?
Other side.
Other side.
I'm not thrilled about this either because it means I have to pay you all more, but you know.
Actually, pretty much with the mention of pay, most of them are like, oh, okay. There's got to maybe a long-term thing that maybe we could be okay with that.
Yes, you will get paid at the rates that we had suggested. It will be a longer adventure, but you will certainly be recompensed for your assistance.
All right. And I will let, you two take over the guard twins from there, however you would like to play them.
So Alphonse, when he hears Torok say like that it's like turning over to a god and that they're on the other side of the desert, he kind of like raises an eyebrow and he says, "That's rather far. What more can you tell us about this god? Which god? What do they? I mean, I love the desert. I'm here for it. I just want to know what they want with this man."
I was told in order to save my friend and stop this man from revealing who she is, that we must take her to where my memories start. So we go to the wilds of Thurn.
That's really all we know. You can press as much as you want, but I'm as confused as you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Alphonse strokes his beard, which I've just decided he has, and says,
"He's growing one after he saw Gildy with one. And is like, oh, that looks nice."
Wow, I've lost my train of thought. What does he say? He says,
He gets lost in luxurious
you know
air.
what? Yes.
He finds something in the beard. Breakfast.
You know what? He strokes his beard and he says, okay, so let's just, does everyone have enough rations for this journey? I just want to make sure that we'll make it through the desert to see this god and turn this man over to this god.
We've got rations aplenty.
Yes, and we have a jug that can make endless water. And we have Gildy.
Gildy nods and she says, I'm very adept at making my way through the desert, as you well know. She says that to Alphonse. She expects Alphonse knows that. She doesn't expect the rest of the group to know that. And Alphonse says, okay, just making sure the desert can be a hard place.
Oh yeah, well, 3 of us have already traveled across the desert. Actually, 5 of us in this group have traveled across the desert. So this is old hat for us.
Yeah. Alphonse claps his hands together and he says, how delightful. I also have traveled through the desert. You must tell us the story.
And just in case people are wondering, once you start to do roughly the math, given sort of where Torok is indicating and how big the desert is and that sort of thing, and for rations purposes and such, you're expecting at a fast pace, it would take you roughly 40 days to get there.
40? I thought it was taking 14.
No.
14.
40. That's at a fast
Yep.
pace. Probably 50 at a moderate pace.
That's why I was so concerned about bringing rations.
I legitimately thought it was 14.
I feel I was out of it when I decided that this was a good idea.
I blame Torok.
Everybody blames Torok.
I blame Torok wholeheartedly. And I know he can shoulder that blame.
So
Yes,
40
he's
days there,
completely
40 days back.
unencumbered.
Yes. It's 40 days one
If
way.
we run in the sand.
Now we could go
Wow.
from the other end of the desert and go to the forest from there,
This is going to
as
be
opposed
a lot
to
of
going
money.
back to Silver Lake, I believe.
Yeah. Welcome to your side quest.
No, I thought it was 14.
That might explain why there was less arguing. I mean,
That's what I
Yeah.
agreed. Once I'm like, oh, that's fine. 2
I was
weeks
wondering why
there,
you said,
2
oh,
weeks
that's
back.
fine. I thought maybe you had
Easy.
something you wanted to do on the other side as well.
No, I thought it was 14.
Okay,
thought it was 2
so Rob, I know it's a desert, so I'm expecting it to be fairly deserted. But are there any so I assume that the 40 days is if I'm looking at the map now, as if they went straight through the desert from Silver Lake to the
So that's 40 days, including a trip to the desert, a trip to the hills, a trip into Thurn to get to where the destination is. So that's the full length of travel to get to exactly where Torok wants to go.
Okay, so I assume that they would want to, and Gildy would certainly push for stopping at a town whenever possible. Would Gildy and or Alphonse be aware of towns or little villages or anything around at all that they could stop in?
There are a few oases in the desert that are generally known for caravans that move through and that sort of thing. There are no settlements at all other than wandering monsters and things like that in the desert. In the hills beyond, those are also pretty barren. But there's probably the occasional small, hamlet worth of a town that you might have come across in the past. There is a semi-established caravan route. So along that, there's probably a couple way stations here and there. But it wouldn't be until you get to the other side of the desert.
Okay. So how long of a trip would it be to the like first way station?
Roughly 20 to 25
Days.
yes, 20 to 25 days roughly, so about halfway.
So we're a day into the trip. We're already playing how much further? Excellent.
Wow. Okay.
The world is big.
I know. I have to come up with some reason why Leon was like, thought it was half as long as it would be.
Well,
I
for you,
like just
you were in
mishearing it.
delirium the last time you crossed through the desert, so maybe it felt like 14 days to you.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
We did travel through together, so
Or maybe, you know what? Maybe I'll just stick with Leon heard 14.
Yeah.
Somebody said 14. I thought it was 14. And then in the morning, it's like, so 40 days. Wait, 40? 40?
yeah.
Not 14? I thought it
Yeah.
was 14.
Oh, and then so during that conversation, Gildy would be saying, well, yeah, 40 days, but don't worry, it's only 20 to the first way station.
And we're not seeking out wizards to teleport us because
We didn't really plan this trip. We just sort of left.
I should have really spoke up more.
But we haven't gone very far. We could easily divert around and go to the Shadow Forest and teleport there.
Teleport.
So Gildy's a little like apprehensive about that idea, just as like her whole being is about like traveling and going places and not about like using magic to cheat. And so she wouldn't really say that. She would just say, I mean, we're already a day in. We might as well just go. I know the way. I'm very familiar with the desert.
And the guard twins are also, they know this route.
Why waste our time going all the way back to the forest just to come back this way anyways? Let's just go.
All right. I'm
I love this.
All right.
Yes. Belinda will support Gildy and to say, it's really not that far.
And then Gildy will also look at Tor and be like, Tor, isn't it important that we make this journey?
I agree entirely.
All right.
Which is why I started walking.
Yeah.
That seals it then. All right.
Unless we want to lose our Dragonborn. He's
Rod,
kind of going this way.
How many days have we been adventuring together so far?
So many.
I do know that.
Because isn't that like 20 days or less?
Yeah, something like that.
So this is going to be
No,
like,
we were in the forest for like weeks, right? Like
No.
2 weeks.
Only a couple days we were in the forest.
Oh, I
maybe,
don't know.
yeah,
I
but like
thought it was 2
So
weeks.
8 and
It was a lot of travel time to get there and to get back, but we weren't in the forest itself for very long.
oh, come on.
So you're trying to apply the relationship rule of don't make plans further in the future than actually get together?
no, I'm just thinking it's going to be hilarious because this trip is going to be longer than the total time that we've been together.
Well,
You've known each
you
other
and
so far
Torok
for
have-
about 20 days.
But
Yeah,
you and
right?
Torok have known each other for longer because we met at the caravan traveling through the desert before we came to Silver Lake.
Yes.
And Jacob,
Yeah.
too.
It's amazing how time flies when you're adventuring.
Was your trip through the desert immediately preceding the game? So you were like just in the desert 20 days ago and now we're going back.
Yeah, I'm thrilled about this. This is great.
And actually, that's true because it was starting to get kind of cool in Silver Lake, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were starting to like, oh, we're coming into our own, and then we're going back.
No, but it was cold. It was kind of
Well,
chilly, and it was warm in the
for
desert.
you, it was a little chilly. In
Yeah,
Silver
so
Lake,
I'm like,
it was,
we're
like,
back in
it's-
the heat. I like it.
Oh,
For
yeah, at
somebody
night it was
who's-
cold in the desert.
Yes, yeah. At night it's cold in the desert.
Yes, but at night I have tiny hut, so I'm nice and warm. And anyone who wishes to join me is nice and toasty warm.
I will say, because you have 11 members in your party now, including the Firbolg, that you will not all fit in the tiny hut. I believe is yourself plus 9 or 9 total, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I think it might be 9 total. Yeah, no, I know not everybody will fit, but
I think
but
Ranu counts as one as well.
Well, Ranu can just disappear.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or Ranu can scout.
Yeah.
And then just report things to me. Well, actually, yeah, start on the inside, go out, and then I
Can you send both Ranu and Jacob out to scout? Or is it only one at a time?
Oh, Jacob the horse.
Jacob the horse is not particularly useful for scouting or anything like that.
Ranu likes to ride Jacob, though. It's a real sight to see.
Little owl on a horse. Doing tricks.
How long do Jacob's pigeons last?
Oh.
Are they real pigeons?
They're once per day and they're real.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because if they were real pigeons, it would be like, oh, we need some food. Jacob? Ta-da!
You cannot eat the pigeons. Do not trust the pigeons.
Well, no,
they're mystic pigeons, 0 calories.
Mystic pigeons.
It sounds like a diet plan, doesn't it?
How'd you like my chapeau of mystic pigeon?
The Wizard Watcher's meal plan. It's fantastic.
Wizard Watcher's meal plan.
All right.
So,
Rob, I take it that my special parasol cantrip only protects me from like rain. It wouldn't give me any kind of shade, correct?
I would allow it to give you shade.
Oh, okay then. Because I mean, I can just make a parasol.
Yeah. If you wanted you do the cantrip, that's a cantrip. I can. Yeah.
All right. Then I'll use the cantrip, I guess, so I have shade, and then I can make myself a little fan. And fan myself as I'm riding on my horse as everyone else slogs through the desert. And then I also use the gust spell at will to just cool myself off.
There you go. The gust spell is really useful for that.
Don't use the gust spell in the desert.
Well,
no,
this is not gust of wind. This is just gust.
But I do have gust of wind, and I specifically took it because we're in the desert. Oh yes, I will be using gust of wind at some point.
Okay.
Against our enemies, don't worry.
So, sounds like you've decided to continue on, and everybody is on board with this. The people you have hired, as long as they're going to, get paid for the whole trip, they're like, oh, sure, it's a different place than what we were expecting, but sure, we'll come along. Do you tell them about the Firbolg and not who they are necessarily, but that they're not a willing member of the party?
I collect the party into a little party huddle.
This is everybody but the others, or?
Yes.
Okay.
With Ranu keeping a distinct eye on the Firbolg, who will alert me in case of any sign of trouble. And then I suggest to everyone that we do not tell them anything, or else we run into a similar problem with people knowing my real identity.
Well, the good thing is, if they do find out, we know where to take them.
Okay, so first question. Did you include Alphonse in this huddle?
Not initially, but like,
okay.
is Gildy like, hey, we should have Alphonse in here? Have you told your husband my real identity?
Actually, that's a good question. Would Gildy have? You know what? I don't think she did. I don't think that she told Alphonse.
All right.
But she would want to tell Alphonse. So she will ensure that Alphonse is not part of this huddle. And but she'll say to Leon, she'll say to Leon, it would be easier to tell Alphonse. I haven't told him. He's very trustworthy. He can be very helpful. But
All right.
I understand if you...
No, I will consent to
want-
this. I certainly trust Alphonse. But I think that Alphonse is the only one that we should tell.
Okay.
How do we know that the Firbolg won't tell the rest?
Well, the hope is that he won't, and we'll go from there. And if he does, then that will be problematic for him.
With all of the myriad numbers of spells and tricks I've seen our group be able to perform, does anyone know mute? Even if it only has a temporary effect?
I don't think anybody. The silence would be the spell, and I don't think anybody in the party has it.
Nope.
No. Okay.
I'm so tempted to have the Firbolg just call over to you. Hey, princess, what you talking about? But I won't.
Okay.
However, while you're in the huddle, Kess will approach the twins and be like, "What do you think they're talking about?"
No, this is a weird people.
Does someone have something we can use as a gag? That's really all we need.
Why would Melinda say something like that?
Oh,
What's
Sorry,
Melinda do?
two different conversations.
that was clearly my Leon voice.
Oh,
So Leon suggests somebody gag the Firbolg.
all right.
And then, sorry, now I'm Melinda?
Yes.
Yes.
What
I'm
do you think they're talking about over there in their little huddle?
I don't know. They're a weird group. I don't know. I mean, they seem to have money, happy to get paid, but this is a weird trip.
I was not expecting this.
I don't know, but we're getting paid. Who cares?
Yeah, but they're like, hey, let's go to the Shadow Forest, and now we're going to the desert. I'm like, this is not a we just changed our mind.
It is a little strange.
Yeah, but they're adventurers. Adventurers are like that. Adventurers just do random stuff, remember?
Yeah. I do need to work on my tan in this form, so yeah, sure.
This is why we joined the caravan, Belinda, so that we would avoid this kind of thing. But we're getting paid. And we're going in territory that we know. It's a sweet gig.
That's true. It could be worse.
Yeah, we know these people. At least a couple of them.
Yeah, I mean, for you two at least, this is not Cass, this is DM speaking, but for you two at least, going to the Shadow Forest would be like horribly unknown territory, and going to the desert would be like, yeah, we do that like every other week.
Yeah, like why we were gonna go someplace horrible and scary, and now we're going through the desert again, like we always do. Like, why are you complaining?
So for our own refreshed memory and for people watching, so the twin guards already know Torok, Mint, and Leon, correct?
Yes.
So, okay.
Yeah,
Pretty sure that was right.
On a caravan trip across the desert.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
20 days ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
So less than a month ago,
Yeah.
like 3 weeks ago, we saw them.
Yeah. So Belinda will be like, and they seem like good people, capable fighters. I mean, we had that one encounter, and Leon seemed pretty powerful, and Tor super strong, and Mint very feisty. Like, I think we're in good hands.
Did Leon seem powerful though?
Well, I seem to remember Befreezy coming up in that battle when Befreezy was still a thing.
Yeah, I mean a bit, but like that wasn't a lot. Like it wasn't like a ball of fire or anything.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen Torok and Kess and Talon fight. They're all very capable warriors, so I'm not too worried about anything we might happen to encounter.
And I have a very positive can-do attitude. And an amazing capacity for drinking. Invaluable.
There you go.
So as long as they pay us like they say they're going to, then I guess
I'm sure they're good for it.
All right.
And that Jacob guy, he's not bad looking.
He isn't bad. It's true. I mean, I
As
think
long as you're referring to the guy and not the horse.
I mean, both.
Such an easy joke.
Look at the tail on that one.
What a stallion.
Right, moving on. I'm assuming that at least the Firbolg is still manacled.
Oh yeah. Yep. Oh yes. And Leon suggests to Torok that Torok, since you are the one who is now leading this this pilgrimage, if you would take care of the prisoner, I feel like that would be the best course of action.
The one who is out in front is not always leading, but it kind of makes sense that I take care of the prisoner.
Yes.
All right. Sounds like we're decided on a course of action. And luckily, while you were off having that huddle, the Firbolg did not decide to turn invisible and run away. So,
if Torok straps a Firbolg to his shield, does that increase the AC?
Yes, it would definitely increase your AC. It would be very hard to do much, though.
I mean, this is like a loose sand desert, right? So it'd be pretty hard for him to run off because he'd be leaving fairly distinct footprints.
That's why I asked if he was manacled.
For
other reasons.
Talon offers to basically go get the Firbolg, whose name I do not remember.
Nobody knows.
No, we don't know.
Actually
We never asked his name.
Good. All right. So the Firbolg, whose name
I had to keep referring to him as the Firbolg because I know his name, but none of you haven't.
That's awesome.
We could call him Frank. Frank the Firbolg.
Don't even ask his name. Just call him a name.
Yeah.
Yep.
Talon offers to go basically to get the Firbolg and basically bring him to Tor as we are about to move on again.
All right.
And so Leon has a
parasol.
Yes. Well, whatever the umbrella ends up looking like. Has a magical umbrella over her head. She creates herself a Lawrence of Arabia kind of headscarf kind of thing going on, and conjures herself a horse and rides along on that every once in a while, having the gust spell to keep herself cool, and has Ranu fly up, basically, slightly less than a mile up to get a good, and basically through his eyes just takes a look around at what's all around us to see if there's any game or sign of danger or anything of note.
It's more desert.
Half a mile, huh?
Well,
a mile. A little less than a mile?
Well, I can, because of my ring, I now have connection with him up to a mile, so I'm flying up as high as I can where it's still useful.
1 mile. And anybody know the calculation for how far you can see, depending on how high up you are? I know generally the horizon's about 3 miles away, but I know if you're a fair ways up, there's all math involved, and me and math, we're decent acquaintances, but I don't call on them very often.
I don't know.
Um,
I just do the
anyway,
magic.
I'll keep looking that up because I'm like, there is actually potentially something that Ranu might see. I just need to figure out how far away Ranu is seeing.
All right. Well, and I'll make a perception check, and if I roll crap, then
there you go. Let's try that first.
Then you don't have to care. Oh well, I got a 21, so.
All right.
So Ranu sees things if they're there.
How far or how high up is Ranu flying?
Well, I have connection up to a mile, so I don't know how high birds normally fly or what range he's going to be able to see useful things, but he can be anywhere up to 1 mile above us.
Then Ranu can see approximately 3 miles ahead.
No, because I think that's at our level.
Oh, sorry.
3 miles.
No, sorry. I basically punched in the thing, and then it gave me an answer, but the answer was actually not the specific answer to the question.
Yes.
I don't know. Do we want to do 6 miles?
I
can see
think
twice as far as us.
7 miles away.
I'm just thinking to make it simple.
In fact, okay. Okay. All right. Yes,
There you go. I found
Ranu
it.
definitely sees something. I found enough
Yay.
information from
Yeah.
you. To,
Yeah, 1
I was
mile
about
up.
to say this one says 42 kilometers if you're up
yeah.
100 meters. Yeah.
This
Oh,
one,
wow.
this one, yeah, it says 1 mile. You can see 96 miles in advance, based on vision, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or 154 kilometers.
Yeah. So Ranu reports back that.
Well, and so I'm riding on the horse.
Yep.
And like, I am looking through Ranu's eyes to see.
Yep. Okay. So you can see.
Yeah.
There are 2 other people traveling through the desert in the opposite direction from you. They're roughly like 5 or 6 miles sort of away, but they are moving towards Silver Lake. One seems to be sort of a medium height person. One seems to be a small height person.
Okay.
Yep.
So I relay this to the group.
All right.
As I'm going.
You rolled a 21, right?
Yep.
And you're looking through the eyes.
Yep.
Something about the taller person. You don't quite know what it is, but you're like, makes you think maybe you'd want to get a closer look.
Okay.
I wasn't planning on doing this, but since you mused Rano in that way, this is going to be a thing that happens because I knew world events and what was going on and who was where. So,
yay! All right, so I relay all of that. I advise how far they are and say it would be useful for us to get a better look at them.
Would be sort of slightly out of your way. You'd be going sort of perpendicular to the path you want to go.
Oh, okay. So they're not going to actually.
No, they're not going to intercept with
us.
you. You're essentially they're beside you at the moment, going the opposite direction.
Okay.
Roughly.
Well, then, so we go, and when they get closer, then I'll just have Ranu come down a little bit and get that better look at them.
Okay.
Just because they've apparently piqued my interest.
Yep.
So.
Give me another perception check now that you're a little bit closer.
All right.
And there we go. Okay.
Once they're closer, I can't see as well.
Yeah.
Oh, the sand got in my eyes.
Yeah.
If so, Alphonse has guidance.
Yeah.
If he, but Leon is looking through Ranu's eyes. So if he if he gives guidance to Leon, does that count as
yeah. Are you
helping
using
there?
your perception through Ranu's eyes?
So I get the benefit of. Yeah, so as an action, you can see through your familiar's eyes and hear what it hears until the start of your next turn, gaining the benefits of any special senses that the familiar has.
Yeah. All right. Yep. So you're using their senses, but you are
Yep.
seeing. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, you have advantage.
Yeah, Ranu has advantage. That's the benefit of the owl,
Right.
is they have
And
advantage.
you have a 12. Yeah, so I would allow a guidance to work if you wanted to use it.
Okay. So Alphonse, being the endlessly helpful guy he is, he approaches Leon and especially after Leon first reports back what she's seeing through Ranu, he's like, oh, I have a spell that can maybe help you see a little bit more if you'd like.
Certainly.
Okay, so he reaches up and he's very short, so he just I think he could probably reach her foot.
Yeah.
So
Especially since it's glowing, you know.
Yeah, the glowing foot. He goes for the glowing foot because that's the lucky one. And he casts guidance, and so
Okay.
that you can roll a d4 and add the number to an ability check.
All right. So I think now I have a 14.
All right. All right. 14 is good enough.
Yay.
Well, you don't quite get a good look at them, and I mean, admittedly, you think it'd be hard to get sort of a good look at them. They've got again sort of a scarf around their head for the most part. It's the taller person that sort of caught your attention. They things that you get about them that again, something about them is sort of clicking for you. You're fairly certain it's a woman, but they're walking sort of very confident. They've got sort of a warrior's sort of stance and grace and that sort of thing. They're carrying two long swords. They have a whip at their belt, probably a longbow on them somewhere. And yeah, given all of that, even though you can't quite see their face, even though you're a little bit closer, I'm going to give you an intelligence check to see if you recognize them just from sort of their attributes and their gait. 18. All right. I'm going to message just D.
I see. All right, then I'm gonna have to say to the group, I will be right back. And I head off at a speed of 200 to intercept.
Yep. And is anybody going to try to follow or otherwise mark where Leon is going?
I don't even know if I can travel that fast with my haste on.
So do we all get to just go in random directions whenever it feels like?
Yeah, Alphonse is startled, and he's like, does she often do this?
This
And
is a first.
Guilty ponders,
No.
she's like,
No, it's
Actually,
not a first. This
Torak
happened
will
before.
Yes.
not infrequently. She'll be back.
Because this happened in Silver Lake. We met up when the chaos converged. Okay.
Basically, Torak's like, she'll be back, and just keeps trudging.
How far? So Leon said, like, how far they were? What, 5 miles?
Yeah, assuming you like diverted a little bit, so Leon could sort of get a better view at these people. They'll say they're roughly about like 3 miles away now.
Well, because I wouldn't have suggested that we divert at all. We would have just continued, because I could just send Ranu.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. So it was just Ranu would divert to check them out when they were going to be as close to us as.
Well, and that's just it. They were roughly as close to you as they were going to get, being about 5 miles away.
Right. And so, I mean, based on this, so if we're looking in that direction, can we see people on the horizon, even like little specks or anything? No.
Okay. So, but at least Ranu could have, instead of being a mile straight up, could have been like over in that direction.
Yeah.
And
Much
closer to the ground.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway, I ride off.
Yep.
To get intercept.
All right. So the rest of you are sort of a little stunned by this. So, D. Moving at a speed of 200, I'm gonna say it probably does not take you that long.
And I throw up quite a dust trail.
Yep. So you are met with probably an arrow nocked, and the halfling, I believe, that's with her, probably has a crossbow at the ready as well as you get closer, again, kicking up all this sand and cloud and that sort of thing.
Well, and I mean, once I get into a closer range, then I'm going to slow to 100.
Yeah. Still.
The regular moving speed.
Yeah.
I love this spell.
How far away are you going to stop, I suppose, or slow to approach?
I mean, what is shouting distance?
I'll say like, oh, I don't know. What do people think? Is 50 feet, 100 feet?
Yeah,
Let's say 50 feet.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, and so basically, as I get closer, I'm going to be slowing down and slowing down and slowing down and giving every evidence of like, I'm coming in peace kind of thing, and then stopping and turning to the side so that my glowing boot is on the opposite side.
Of course.
As you know. And then call it an Elvish and do the reveal, removing the headscarf.
Yep.
Calling it an Elvish, something that they would know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they sort of acknowledge that, seem very surprised. And as you pull off your headscarf, they pull off their headscarf. And it is indeed who you thought it was.
Hooray!
Yeah. And she sort of stares at you for a long time. It's like, that is not how I expected to find you.
So I approach. And then embrace them, which undoubtedly shocks them even more, because that's not what I was like.
Nope. Nope. And they sort of reluctantly sort of embrace you back. You seem different.
Yes, you could say that.
What happened to you?
Well, where are you headed right now? Are you headed to Silver Lake?
Yes, that was the last indication of where you might have headed.
I see. Are you here to find me?
Yes.
All right. Are you prepared for travel of approximately 40 days?
What? We were just about to get to a city and resupply. We're running low on a few things.
Well, why don't you come with me and then I can introduce you to my companions and we can decide what we wish to do.
It seems fair enough. If, very least, if we choose to go on to the city, I think it's only about a day away.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, they go with you and travel back and
All right.
make a bit of a different path to get back to everyone else, but yes.
So there's 2 elves and a halfling.
Yes.
Right?
Walk into a bar.
So I'm figuring all of us can fit on my horse. Because I'm small and the halfling is small and the other rider is probably not that big. So
no, there.
We don't take off at 200, but we make our way back. And I ask who the companion is and stuff before we get there so that I can do proper introductions. You don't need to tell me. I would, however, if you could send me the full details of this person's name, please. Because eventually I'm going to. But then I also ask how I should introduce them.
Yes. I am going by Veonara.
Veonara. All right.
Yes, and one sec, I will send you the full. Oh, jeez, it's going to take me a while to come up with all their titles. We'll do that in a moment. Yes, they're going by Veonara at the moment, and their companion is Wiggum Bundlestaff.
Okay.
He's an excellent tracker. He's the one who has been otherwise finding what bits of evidence we could as to where you might have gone.
Well, yes, halflings do seem quite adept.
Yes.
I myself have found a halfling tracker. They are so wonderful.
Have you?
I have.
Very good, very good.
I'm going to suggest that we do the headscarf thing for now, but yeah, okay.
All right. So she bundles back up again as you sort of are getting close to the others.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not going to have her full thing until after the break at this point.
Yeah, that's fine. So I come back with another elf and a halfling and say, "This is Vayanara and Wiggum Bundlestaff. And I thought they would make excellent additions to the group."
I met random people in the desert and thought, yes.
Gildy is very startled by this.
I say to Gildy in Primordial, "This is my sister."
So Gildy says, "Oh, okay," in common, but then just kind of like continues walking or whatever. Like, and Alphonse is confused, just double checking that he does not speak Primordial, and he says, "The more, the merrier."
Right.
And actually, I would be able to then use the message stone later, and use the message stone to relay that to Talon and Torok and Minuset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, to Minuset anyway, and then Minuset will tell Torok.
Yeah, who's got
If she's talking to Torok at this point.
So Talon and Mint, and you have 4 of them.
Gildy?
Yeah, and I have one.
And Gildy is the other one?
Gildy
Message
has
stone?
one. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Then I'll tell Talon and I'll tell Minuset.
Okay. And I will pass it on to Torok whenever he slows down enough that I can catch up to him.
Well, and I'm actually, because Torok doesn't have one, then Leon is going to suggest that you don't, because you don't have a way to tell him that other people can't overhear.
It's fair.
Particularly because he's the one who's leading the person who's after me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Torok's on Fearbolt duty.
Yeah.
This is so weird. I was not expecting that. I mean, as soon as you're like, oh, this person seems familiar, I'm like, I don't know anyone else. It has to be this person, but it's really weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of good that we came out here and didn't go to the Shadow Forest.
I had a note that they have been looking for you, and they were going to get to Silver Lake like this day.
Nice. See, so it all worked out. Yay!
Yep. Okay, so you travel onwards.
While we're traveling,
yes,
because I was going to do something earlier, which is why I specifically said I wanted to be the one who took the Fearbolg to Tor.
Okay, yep.
We can do it then, we can do it now, it doesn't really matter. But so the way I wanted to play it was that I would have like the manacles, and I would sort of take the Fearbolg sort of like off well to the side, like well away from everybody. And as we were walking, Town would look to say something to him and just say, by the way, what is your name?
You can call me Thormald.
Oh, sorry, Thor.
Thormald. Thormald.
Okay. Thormald, I just want to remind you that, we are taking this rather long trip in effort to save your life. You are aware of that, right?
That has not escaped me.
And I want to make it abundantly clear that should you share this secret of yours that you are keeping with anyone else around you.
I'll stop you there. I have lots of secrets. Which one?
The reason for us taking this trip.
That so I don't die?
And why aren't you going to die? What is it that you know that causes us?
Oh, yeah, right. The start of this whole thing. I got you. Yeah, okay.
So just want to make it abundantly clear that if you'd like to live, then you're going to keep that secret to yourself. Because if you share with anyone, this trip will become much shorter. Do you understand?
So you're threatening me now.
This is not a threat. This is simply the way it's going to be. We can either keep quiet and everything will be fine, or you can share what you believe you know and face consequences.
He actually give me an insight check.
Sure.
He doesn't necessarily say a whole lot. He sort of nods a little bit, but yeah, give me an insight check. 13. All right. You get a sense from him that he's taken your meaning, that he sort of understands you, and is probably going to follow your lead on this. But there's sort of a moment just before you get to Torok where he just sort of whispers a little bit, beginning to reassess this group. That's all he says. And then you can
Yay!
All right. So, first day comes to an end. You have traveled a decent distance. I suppose that is a good question. Are you moving at a fast pace or in a regular pace? Fast means that you're generally unable to forage in a desert. Yeah. And otherwise, I think you have a negative to notice things. -5 to passive wisdom perception scores. Yeah.
Well, so I mean, Leon is definitely up for whatever speed these people can handle because I can move 100. But I also have Ranu continually scouting to keep an eye out for anything that we could actually, any game of any kind. So in the hopes that even if we are moving quickly, while we're not alert to danger, Ranu is alert to danger, just kind of soaring on the, on the thermal updrafts and things, so that we are able to move quickly, but still able to benefit from any game that we do find and be alert to any danger that is at least above ground.
Okay. All right.
I feel like Tor is setting the pace since we decided to let him kind of go out front, and he doesn't really seem to want to slow down. So unless anything has slowed us down, I think we're going at Torok pace.
Torok is not a speed demon, but he's trying to also navigate with the fear bowl.
We might be reduced to the slowest of our members is the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suspect a normal pace. I can't see Torok pushing it to a fast pace.
All right. So yes, you've traveled for a day. It was very warm. For those of you who do not have parasols and gusts of wind spells, you were probably feeling just a little bit sort of like caked in sand from a little bit of sweat, and then you get just a little bit of wind and kicked up sand in your face, that sort of thing. You're feeling just a little bit grimy. The night begins to fall. I will assume you stop and set up a camp. Yes.
It makes sense.
Okay. How do you want to set up that camp? Given you haven't told anybody else about the Firbolg, although they can see that the Firbolg is manacled and otherwise sort of keeping close to.
And is gagged, hopefully.
You've added a gag?
Yeah, I suggested that we add a gag.
But then the conversation happened between Will and...
Yeah, but Talon could have just removed the gag to have the conversation and then put the gag back on.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm going to say, well, actually, I'm going to give it a roll. Yeah, I'm going to say at the end of the day, they're starting to look a little rough. Walking an entire day through a desert with a gag is probably not pleasant. They're not complaining. They're not otherwise sort of doing anything, but they're sort of starting to look a little rougher than you think the rest of you are looking. Yeah, how would you like to set up the camp, and sort of where do you want people around?
I guess we have to have shifts.
But you have lots of people.
Yep. So we could probably do shifts in a way that some of us could be on guard and others could actually sleep an entire night and take turns one day to the next. So Who wants to take the first shift tonight, second shift tonight, and third tonight, knowing that you can probably sleep all the way through the night tomorrow? I'll take first tonight.
Do we want to pair up with some of the other folks? Or let them sleep?
Tora is fine teaming up with whoever.
I mean,
Normally
Ranu,
it's Tora and Mint, but
Ranu definitely has a watch.
Okay.
And that's the other thing is Leon only has to trance, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
for the rest of that time, then Ranu is on watch as well and has 120-foot dark vision. That's why I chose the owl. Really good perception, 120-foot dark vision, super handy.
Well, if that's the case, me and Tor could almost just take a 4-hour shift while you trance, and then you could take over almost with somebody else. It'd make it super easy for all of us.
Yep. With
All right.
somebody else who only has to trance for 4 hours.
Yep.
There's that too. We could just leave it up to the two of you.
Trancing all night. Okay. So,
But before we
Trance.
before things get too dark and whatnot, I will ask for Alphonse to keep an eye on the prisoner, so that the rest of us can then be basically inside of my tiny hut, so that I can reveal who the visitor is to everybody.
Alphonse is happy to watch the Firbolg.
Right.
and I could probably have enough of the title stitched together to, fudge through it if you like.
Sure.
All right. So yes, assuming you allow her to introduce herself.
No, I mean, I would.
All right.
I would do it.
All right.
And definitely would have used prestidigitation so that she wasn't grimy and everything. So the two of us look fine.
Yep.
And we've had a lovely day out.
All right. So I'll send you sort of a couple bits here.
All right.
So that's one. I can't remember the name of the country you're from.
Del.
Del. There we go. It's my own world.
Out of anything for you to forget. That's kind of funny that was you.
And there we go. That's most of her stuff.
All right. And what's the actual first name?
Oh, yeah.
Wait. I should have that. Wait. I don't have that here. It's in a different sheet.
Oh, and there's the last name too, right? I forgot about your last name.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I know the last name.
There we go. It's all in the chat. I've sent it to you.
Okay. And I just need to figure out. Okay. Wait. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yep. Oh, right. Oh, I'd forgotten about that.
Yes, she was the one who was with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that I remember, but there was something else. There was something else that I'd forgotten. Okay. So, yeah, so once we're all together and stuff, then I reveal that this is and I let her do the big
Yes.
reveal, because that's cool. Princess Rashinala Salma Iranus, Admiral of the Delin Navy, Knight Captain of Del, Countess of Esan. And everybody can roll an insight check, because there's a thing.
Yep. Oh, jeez. Jacob.
And sorry, what was the name? Princess?
Rashinala.
Yep. Oh, and older sister,
Yes.
I would have mentioned as well.
One moment. Plus 2.
Yeah. And you definitely get a very different sense from her without needing to roll an insight check, as she sort of, puts a rough arm around Leon and almost sort of, messes up her hair a little bit, gives her not quite a noogie, but definitely the older sibling to younger sibling sort of interactions of, yes, seems very glad that they're together again, and otherwise being a little rough and tumble around things. I would definitely say that, depending on how you want to play it, Jacob, Torok, and maybe Talon would, sort of see something.
Yeah, Jacob and Torok definitely, and I think Talon would see a little bit. So,
Right.
Definitely Jacob and Torok get the sense that Leon appears to be somehow appears to be ashamed of her sister. And I think Talon would get that there's some kind of definitely this is my older sister, she's a princess, she's important, but there's some kind of familial tension or something. There's some kind of feelings, there's some kind of potentially negative feelings there under the surface, but I think Jacob and Torok would definitely get that there is basically a secret shame that Leon has in regards to is secretly ashamed of said sister. I'd forgotten about that.
Yep. With those checks, I will give you just a bit more information. So this is I'm going to say pretty much everybody, but actually Mint, I'm going to describe some basic things that even Mint wouldn't pick up. This is a hardened warrior. This is somebody who's seen combat and has seen sort of rough situations. Obviously, just walked most of the way through a desert. And she definitely, the way sort of she's feeling about this interaction, Torok and Jacob would pick up that the sister sort of knows and senses that there's sort of something from Leon, and in return, there's this weird sense of what's the best way to describe it? She's not necessarily overcompensating, but she is very much trying to be sort of, there's this sort of veneer of toughness. And you get the sense that she is tough, but there's sort of this extra little something on top of that you're getting a sense of as well. Also a bit of shame herself, but seems to be for a different reason. And it seems to be more connected with Anna specifically, and perhaps finding definitely the finding of Leon would have been sort of seems to have recovered some of that shame a little bit. She will note to Leon, because did you keep the necklace?
Yep.
Oh, but no, Talon has it now.
Oh, you mean the periapt?
Yeah.
Yes, Talon has that now.
She sort of looks to you and sort of looks for it and looks around, sees on Talon, and is like, you think he needs it more than you do?
Yes, you haven't seen him in combat. And this is in Elvish. This is in Elvish, so Talon understands this.
All right.
And
He seems
this-
big, but I'm guessing he's slow.
Mentally, definitely.
Uh,
Alan almost like looks like he's going to be upset, and then like, yeah.
and somewhat reckless. No, but and this keeps me protected from magical location.
oh, okay. Yes, I can see how that would
Yes.
be useful.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is a pleasure to meet you all. I had not been expecting my sister. I'm assuming you've told your sister you're going by a different name now.
Actually, I don't. I mean, I guess yes, because it was like, what names are we going by?
Yes,
and I would have.
yeah,
Yes, I would have.
I had not have expected my sister to have gathered such an interesting and eclectic group of friends in the time since we have been apart. But I trust her instincts, and if she trusts you, then so will I. I do not know where we are headed or why, but I will go with you as far as you need me to go.
My instincts. I do not need my instincts. My intellect certainly suffices for my
Right.
needs.
Sorry, I forgot. Yes. You trust your intellect. I'll trust my instincts.
Yes. Well. Awkward moment of silence. And then Leon moves on to, and these are my friends. This is Gildy. She is a ranger par excellence. She is the wisdom and the heart of the group. I would trust her with my life by no question. This is Talon. He is a reformed criminal who is making better life choices now. He is a master of the martial arts. And though
Definitely seems to like there's a respect for that.
And though reckless, is definitely a trusted friend.
And she sort of seems to make a connection. I was like, oh, he throws himself into combat. He puts himself into danger. I understand.
Oh, yes.
Okay, yes.
He certainly does. This is Minuset, and she is a stout warrior, quick of foot, and somewhat untrusting of magic.
I just don't understand it.
But she is a fine companion as well.
I'm with you there.
And this is Torok. He is an excellent warrior with his axe. He has connection to a god.
What? Sorry.
Yes. We're on a pilgrimage because of a deity that he has a special connection with. He is, again, I would say, the heart and soul of the group. And I would trust him with my life again, tenfold. And this is Jacob.
Caw! I yell out a huge caw, and at that moment,
Go inside the tent!
17 doves come. 17! That was a good roll. 17 doves go. Is it doves? Yeah, I think so.
Doves. Yep.
The sound of the caca, I think Minch is just going to run.
No. Anything that's inside can go out. So I think that they would be able to just, but suddenly there would just be this burst of doves that comes out of the tiny hut.
I'll splatter
He
against
is
the walls.
slightly startled by that, but recovers quickly.
There's one in every group.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Leon,
Any friend of Leon? Leon is a friend of Leon.
Leon
As
pauses
are
for a
you.
minute. And yes, he is an interesting fellow. He is an artificer. I think it's probably clear to everyone that there's air quotes around that word. And is a very also a very intelligent and trusted friend. Although he does drink a bit more than he should.
And this is my mechanical bat, Edgar. It whirs and
It is a pleasure to meet both of you.
Yes, perhaps you could tell my sister all about your gadgets and things that you have. And then I get up and walk away.
Actually, and she'll sort of mention, and the others that are with you, are they hired companions? Is that?
Yes. So we were going into the Shadow Forest to defeat the minions of the Shadow Weaver.
how could you not
Who are-
introduce Kess?
Plaguing.
Or Alphonse.
They're not there.
I will
That's true.
introduce. So they have been introduced to my companion, but not her true identity, of course. Yes. So there are the guard twins, Melinda and Belinda. They actually assisted in my getting through the desert safely on the way to Silver Lake. There is also then Kess, who is a warrior of some renown, quite amazing. Yes.
Okay, you definitely get a sense from her in that moment of like annoyance that she would refer to someone else like that.
And yes, and then there's of course the rather large fellow who's in the manacles, who knows my true identity. And since my friends did not wish for me to kill him, then we are taking him on this spiritual quest to leave him in the wilderness in the northeast.
In Thurn, yeah.
Yes, in Thurn.
Oh,
So yes,
okay,
yes.
understood.
How similar do my sister and I look? Like, is it going to be painfully obvious that we're siblings? Like, if the Furbolg sees her face, is the Furbolg going to be like, "Oh, it's another one"?
Roll a d20. I never really thought about this before, but let's determine that now.
All right. Is it how close the numbers are together? Oh goodness.
Okay. There's a passing resemblance. Probably something about like the eyes and the brow ridge, so even sort of covered
Okay.
up. Maybe somebody might make a connection, but it's not super obvious.
And she actually looks healthy and stuff, right? Like she's got a good constitution.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's probably, you know, if I put on a few pounds, we'd probably look very similar, but as it is, it's like picture her but with like, you know, vacuum sealed like
She has, I think, close to double your constitution. So
Okay, yeah. So looks like a healthy version of me.
Yep. Also, just as a side note, she would have addressed Torok in Draconic.
All right.
That is the only other language she knows, other than Elven.
Okay. And I imagine that I would have known that she knows Draconic.
Yes. Yeah.
And we've established that the Furbolg does not know Draconic, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
We know that the Furbolg knows Elven, and I think we've established that the Furbolg does not know Draconic. So I will definitely be communicating with my sister, like together quietly in Draconic.
Yeah.
To make it extra hard, so that if any of the other folks understand Draconic, they're not going to overhear, but the Furbolg definitely won't.
And
All right,
definitely do not blurt anything out in common accidentally.
Yay. Yeah, and then I just walk away and leave my sister to Jacob to
Yes.
show his.
And she actually seems quite interested in the little devices you have and other contraptions of things. She's not heard a lot about artificers. Well, most of the stuff she's heard about artificers is negative in that she's on the other side of the war, and it's the artificers that have created a lot of the weapons of war that the Empire is using. So she's sort of happy to meet one who is not creating weapons of war and otherwise is a pleasant person to speak to. And yeah,
seems more intelligent or more kind of battle focused.
Definitely more battle focused.
Okay.
Yep.
That said, though, not unintelligent.
Okay. I'm gonna so for the little device, I'm just gonna create like a really easy, almost like mini puzzle box for her to solve. And
nice. Not
terribly difficult, but something that can be done.
What put a DC on it.
DC 10.
All right. She's not solving it tonight. He's a little tired and confused.
And
It's a
I'm
lot to
understanding.
take
It's a little tricky, and have some rest. You'll probably get it in the morning.
Okay, thank you. Anything else people want to go over that evening?
I do want to check in with the twins since I said that I would be paying their way, see if they are comfortable, any questions, that sort of thing before first shift is taken. Do they have everything they need before they settle in for the night? Again, apologize for the waylaying. It's partially Torok's fault. Since he's the one who proposed the location that we're heading towards. But since it is at the behest of a deity, we kind of are forgiving in that he's kind of being pulled in that direction. I don't know if it's got a hold of his will or his body or what, but definitely his heart is heading there, and I don't think I'm capable of stopping him. And we did talk about it as a group to see if we should bring you along with us on this detour. And since we decided we would be going to the Shadow Forest from Thrall, we thought we would like to have you along and pay you for the extra days. So if there's anything you need, please let me know. And we're going to try and make this, like, the trip is going to be what it is. You've been through the desert too, so you know what it's like. But yeah, just let me know what I can do for you, since I know it is out of the way.
3 things, says Melinda. 1, do you have beer or mead?
We have mead, and it can be provided for sure. I think Torok knows where it is, and considering, again, this is partially his fault, he should be very sharing of it, I would think.
All right. Sounds good. 2, is there any way any of the rest of us can get a magical horse like that?
That's kind of a Leon thing. Leon also has like a magical like owl, and it seems to be a magic thing. And I really, really wish I could do that too.
The owl is a magical thing too?
Yeah, somehow magical.
Do you think we could talk Leon into making us some magic horses?
I think it's a 1 per magic person thing, but it doesn't hurt to ask, is kind of how I feel about things. So I will ask Leon.
Because she wasn't doing that the last time.
No, that is very new. Yeah, the horse is very, very new.
Yeah. Well, so is the owl.
Oh yeah, the owl would be new for you as well.
Yeah.
The owl is older than the horse. But
looks good. Looks good for his age. And then 3. So the flower that's on Torok's head.
Yeah, we checked that out after it happened, and as ridiculous as that looks, that is some wild magic that struck him, and far as we can tell, he's not in any danger from it. It's not poisonous. It doesn't create any kind of spores, and should go away on its own. No. So it's kind of befuddling, but honestly, considering that he's dragging me through the desert like this, I am just laughing.
Okay, so it's not like
wilt just a little bit in the heavy sun.
So it's not like a dragonborn mating thing.
Oh, thank God, no.
Okay, but Melinda passes Belinda a gold coin.
Told you.
You were right.
I just never seen one before. It's weird.
Yeah, the flower is very not normal.
All right, but don't tell him I asked about it, okay?
Of course I won't.
I don't want to upset him.
No.
And he might not give us mead then.
Although, if you want to hear something funny, Leon had a glowing foot for a bit.
Well, Leon's foot is still glowing. I know.
Oh, is it still glowing?
Yeah.
Like it was 3 days total. It's like today and like I think at least another day and a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I only really notice it at night, but yeah, that's not intentional. That's not like a magic foot thing.
Nope. That's accidental too.
How did it happen?
It happened on the same day as the flower. So yeah, just
okay.
But not in the same place.
Oh, so Leon didn't like step in something and Tor didn't like hit his head.
I don't know if Leon stepped in something or not, because Leon takes such pride in her appearance. I didn't really ask her what had happened, but yeah, it's,
and Leon
it's harmless and therefore hysterical.
Leon didn't step on Torok's head and blow the flower.
No. When we ran into Leon, the flower had already happened, and Leon had the glowing foot. So yeah, it's. I don't think it's as related as they kind of appear, just because we're in the same group.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It is amusing regardless.
I think Melinda and Belinda kind of keep a little bit of a distance from Leon and Torok, because they don't want to have like any kind of random magical. No, they don't want to have any kind of magical effect, right? Where they're like, oh, these people, they had their foot started to glow and they had a flower on their head, so they're like, okay, stay away from them.
Yeah, random magic.
We don't want it to be contagious.
Absolutely.
I will go grab the mead from Tor if he still has it on his person, or from Jacob if it's been moved, and I'll bring it over to Belinda and Melinda.
Actually, something that I just remembered.
Yeah.
Is that Leon now has Dispel Magic. Would Dispel Magic remove the glowing foot?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I would say it would.
So then, yes. So then definitely, sorry, that after the first night, Leon's foot would no longer be glowing.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
The foot glow is gone.
So when she met her sister, there was no foot glow.
And as soon as Tor notices a lack of foot glow, he's like,
all right. Then Leon would definitely Dispel Magic on the head flower.
All right.
Aw, there goes my amusement. Oh.
You never really got to use it, but the special beam that came out of it would heal people.
There was a special beam that would have come out of the flower?
His helm now fits properly, though.
Yes. Yes, he had a special blue beam that came out of the flower when he got worked up.
Because it hit Jacob, wasn't it?
Oh, did it?
Yeah,
think it
but
was
nothing
Talon,
happened because
wasn't it?
Jacob hasn't taken any damage at that point.
Yeah, he just felt really good.
Yeah.
Now, did Leon's boot do the same thing, kind of like Mince Rock? If Leon like kicked somebody with that, did you feel better?
No, it was
No,
jumping.
it was jumping.
I had jumping power.
Right.
Oh, that's right.
It was a bouncy boot.
Just
And
one. So you have to hop.
Yeah,
since
pretty
it's getting a little late, and we are sort of settling down for the night, why don't we take a break there and we can come back and see how things progress. So yes, we will be back in 5 or 10 minutes, and stay with us, and I'm sure there will be many more interesting things to come.
What are the chances?
Hello, and welcome back to the next level. So before the break, we were just settling down for a nice evening's rest, and you sleep through the night. There are no interesting events that happen, or to get up the next morning. Although Talon, you had said you might have wanted to do something before the evening ended.
Yeah, it could be at night, it could be first thing in the morning. It doesn't really matter.
Right. Yeah.
But he at some point when it's convenient, he sort of comes up to Jacob and kind of sits down beside him and kind of like thinks for a moment. He's like, I have a question.
Sure. I have 40 days apparently to answer questions.
You were an artificer.
Yes.
But Leon called you an artificer. What is an artificer compared to an artificer?
So the air quotes were, you could hear the air quotes. The air quotes were not physically done.
Oh, you didn't actually do the air quote. Okay, so
No.
That's what Talon was going to play off.
Oh, no.
But still, you might have picked up there's a difference in tone in how Leon says it. Yes.
Okay. It's not nearly as fun, but okay. The Talon can go ahead and ask what an paused artificer was compared to just an artificer, but
Well, it's hard to say with Leon. So either she's understands that I need to keep Artificer a secret, in which case she's doing a very bad job of it, or
Agreed.
just thinks me perhaps a lesser form of mage. I would like to think that's not the case. I mean, she has shown me great respect by naming her steed after me.
It's true. I mean, I would suspect that she has the highest regard for you. I mean, you have proven yourself time and time again, I think. I mean, you did set fire to a building once, but beyond that.
That turned out fantastically for us.
We did win the day. It's true. Okay.
Is there anything that fire can't do?
So as Talon leaves Jacob that morning, Princess Rashanala, going by, I think, Vianara, comes up to Jacob with the puzzle box solved.
Nice.
And says, "Is this mine to keep, or would you like it back?"
Due to the nature of my magic, it will probably vanish at some point. I will see if I can start working. I have some trinkets in my backpack. I'll look if I can make you something a little more permanent.
I was probably going to be departing today.
Oh, well, why?
I was concerned for the safety of Leon. I had not known what had happened to her since the night that we last saw each other, which was not in great circumstances. There was a significant battle that night. And she was in my protection, and I failed her in that moment. I needed to make sure that she was safe. I have now assured myself of her own skill as well as the group that she is in and the company that she is keeping. I am sure that she is safe with you and with her own skills. And I need to get back to Dell and help with the war.
Well, if you give me just a few minutes, I'll so I'm going to go as she's kind of talking and telling me the story. I kind of fiddle through my miscellaneous bits of mechanical bits and make something real, not one of my artificer things. I'm assuming this is an okay thing I can do. And I create a small lock with two elven females kind of holding hands, and it's locked. I'm like, as long as this remains locked, I give you my word, your sister will be safe.
She accepts that. Maybe depending on sort of how it works and how it looks, she might try and put it on a bit of a chain and sort of wear it as a necklace sort of thing.
Yeah, I try to make it ornate and somewhat pretty with the minimal time I had.
All right. And
do you want me to do a proficiency check to see how awful it is?
Sure. I mean, it will still look beautiful. It just may not function well as a lock.
So what would that be? It would be using tools.
Tinker's tools plus whatever you can use your intelligence plus a proficiency. So.
Yeah, I don't know what it would take to Tinker's tools. I don't know what kind of saving throw that would be, or what kind of skill check that would be. Just dexterity.
So it depends how you want to make it. If you want to make it using sort of fine motor skills, it would be dexterity. If you want to make it using intelligence, that would be intelligence. If you want to make it using sort of raw strength, that would be strength. You can sort of fudge, when you're using tools, you can fudge whatever attributes you want to use as long as it makes sense. Okay. And you use that attribute plus proficiency to then make the roll.
Plus proficiency. Gotcha. Okay.
As soon as you said you want me to roll.
Yep. Yeah, I knew it was going to happen.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to say that you knew, you were aware that you sort of, you made this up and you made it as a lock. However, it is irreparably jammed and will never come apart.
So I made up the story that as long as it doesn't come apart, your sister will be safe. I love it.
There you go. Yep. There we go. That works.
Wait, now Jacob, you have to say, nailed it.
She thanks you very much for this precious gift. And yeah, she says her sort of goodbyes to the rest of the group and probably takes Leon aside and, he has a special moment with you just to say, goodbye and take care of yourself. I hope that someday you will return to Dell, even if not as yourself. It would be good to see you, it would be good for the rest of the family to see you, and maybe to meet your friends as well.
Well, yes. Assure the family that I'm living up to our code and doing everyone proud, and that I shall return, but only once I am able to fulfill what I need to do. The treaty, the alliance is of utmost importance.
Yes.
Give Mother my love, and do you have money?
Yes. I am well provisioned.
All right. Then basically, yeah, then I like give her all of the like, the good spots in Silver Lake, all of the people that she can trust, all the people to stay away from, all that kind of stuff.
That's good.
So, yeah.
All right. And she gets on her way, heading pretty much in the opposite direction that you're going. And you head out on another day into the desert.
We do the royal family secret handshake
Yes.
before we part ways. There's not really a thing, but it's just like, there's probably some kind of formal like Delish greeting or like,
yes,
goodbye that we quietly in Draconic do for each other, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And actually that's the other thing is I give her my journal. Because I have other books,
Yep.
But the journal that I've been writing in so far, I give that to her, so
Nice.
then she can hand it off, and everybody can like regale in the stories of my adventures so far.
Sounds good.
Because Leon has them all locked up right up here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And she heads off. She will be in Silver Lake in another 2 days now. I'm assuming you've Alphonse is able to supply her with some extra water, then that should not be a bit of a hard trip. All right. So, you travel for a second day through the desert.
How drunk did Melinda and Belinda get off of the mead?
Yes. How drunk did they get? Remember, this is pretty hard mead.
I thought I would have maybe poured it out for them and said I'll return the sack now to Torok, so you don't get into too much trouble. So I'm hoping that, but I don't know if they tried to sneak it off him. That's my concern.
I mean, this is free mead on a trip.
It is free mead on a trip. It's like you want it to last further into the trip. Don't drink it all now. Hint, hint.
Is the rest of the group not going to join us?
In the mead drinking of the night before?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They asked for it.
I asked for it.
Yeah. They did ask for mead. And I don't know if Mint actually would have turned down a draught herself. I might be an irresponsible designated guard,
Well, yeah, but we're guards.
So Torok, did you monitor our drinking? Or did you just let me have the skin? You're muted.
Then I'm muted.
Yay!
If Torok had been on guard duty at the time, he would have let you just take it, but would have come and collected it later.
Okay, how much later? How much trouble did we all get into?
Probably at the end of his watch when he, needed to take a break and think.
Oh, if it was a 4-hour watch, we're in trouble.
Well, like Melinda would have asked about, so we can have a chance to kind of get to know your new companions like Gildy and Alphonse and maybe Jacob,
Yeah.
I'm sure Jacob would love to drink.
Oh, Jacob would love to join us, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jacob, I pulled out the mead. You want to join us?
Hell yeah!
All righty.
So I'm just going to say that there was probably more than one drink each, and if everybody would like to make a Constitution saving throw, we can see how well you did that night.
All right.
Kestrel will join in.
Oh,
very nice.
Okay.
I think
So-
Gildy would have, but Alphonse would not.
Oh no!
And
Oh no!
Tor did not drink.
No, I didn't think you would.
Okay. So sorry. The first one was how well Melinda did in hitting on Jacob, which was not overly well.
Okay.
But the con save was phenomenal.
Yes. Okay, so yes, 12 to hit on Jacob. And something fun is going to happen because of this whole drinking session. So, Mint, yeah, you are. Yeah,
I'm
by the
not
time.
good.
Yeah, well, it's the fact that you got that low meant that you probably just kept drinking and didn't realize it. So you're a little not doing so well the next day. Probably by the time Tor came and got the mead, you just sort of been drinking and forgotten about limits.
Fine in the morning. I feel fine now.
It's cold, and the mead is keeping you warm.
Yeah, I feel great.
Jacob, Jacob did okay. Gildy is fine. Melinda did fine. Belinda did fine. Kess was, she was drinking hard and just fine. She rolled a natural 20.
That is not fair. She can hold her liquor.
Yep. But Jacob.
Yeah.
Jacob. Yep, I'm going to go with those two effects. That seems like fun. So what the rest of you notice about Jacob is he's drinking, and there seems to be a strange effect on Jacob specifically while drinking. He seems to, resist the effects, but through that, he seems to sort of get these weird it's almost like the color of the sand that's around you sort of splotches on his skin. And it almost seems like he might be able to, he was, not wearing clothes, blend in with the desert actually a little bit better. So he's now sort of got these spots on him. Jacob, when this happened, and you weren't quite sure whether it was the drink or something else, and I know the suggestion that was given was X-ray vision. I'm going to take that in the not actual X-ray vision side of things. But yes, you were fully able to see through everyone's clothing. And
Nice.
are otherwise wondering why everybody took all their clothes off. I'll leave it up to you whether you decided to do the same.
So this is while I was drinking?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a party going on, and
So
Jacob's not
you
going to
get actually a really good view of all of these spots on Jacob, and it is actually a little bit difficult to sort of see Jacob when in the desert. They're quite camouflaged.
Which is hilarious because he gets naked, but then he's camouflaged.
Yep.
Alphonse is fascinated by his sudden chameleon ability.
Alphonse is fascinated by his sudden chameleon ability.
Alphonse is happily married to Gildy in a monogamous relationship.
Doesn't mean he can't get excited by sudden chameleon abilities.
Oh dear.
You know what I mean?
I'm thinking because I'm so drunk and he just kind of vanished in thin air and left his clothes behind that he just tried a teleportation artificer thingy and it didn't quite work. He'll be back. They always come back. They either take off at full speed and get chased around Silver Lake, but they always come back. Oh, if it's Jacob, look for the fire. He'll be wherever the fire is.
I think it makes sense that Melinda would have been like kind of sidling up to Jacob, trying to flirt with him a bit, and then suddenly he starts getting splotchy and slightly camouflaged and starts taking off his clothes and then just kind of moves away from him.
That would explain her role.
And decides, you know what? Maybe I'll pass.
Well, no, it would have been like that, because it would have been Jacob like looking around all of a sudden, like, I didn't know it was going to be this kind of party.
When when Jacob starts taking off his clothes, Gildy is very alarmed and like she tries to explain to him that he should not do that, but also while kind of like averting her eyes.
Oh, sure, you get to take off your clothes, but I don't get to. Thanks, Mom.
Linda's like,
Jacob,
it's fine.
we're all
fine.
wearing clothes.
No, you're not. What do you think, I am drunk?
Yes.
And at that point, Gildy gives up on Jacob and she goes to bed.
Now, does anyone have any interesting tattoos or piercings that Jacob would now be aware of?
Now's the time to spill it all.
Oh, can I make a perception check?
You can.
Thankfully, Leon and her sister would be inside the tiny hut right now.
Oh. Ooh, ooh.
Oh my goodness.
That's a great roll for a drunk man.
Everyone else in the group notices Jacob looking really intently at everyone.
Yes.
If you can see through his camouflage.
I roll
Splotchy
a
as it is.
splotchy.
You can just see his eyes.
The Cheshire Jacob. It's great.
All right. Oh, never mind. I hate it when I try doing that and respond to the wrong person. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, so that was an interesting night. Jacob, you wake up again. The drink didn't affect you that much, but you wake up the next morning with very sore eyes, and the effect of the X-ray effect seems to have worn off. But anybody else looking at Jacob, like his eyes are sort of red rimmed. It looks like he's had a really rough night. You feel fine, but your eyes are a little bit sore, and they look very red and whatever else to anybody else who's regarding you.
Desert's really bright.
Whereas Mint actually has. Yeah. Okay, so next day you travel. I'm assuming Ranu is keeping an eye out.
Oh yeah.
Spots. I mean, depending on how high up they are, spots some things that are sort of quite a distance off. Not necessarily game, but sort of figures moving around that don't seem to be coming closer to you and aren't a threat, but sort of occasionally spots things in sort of the far distance.
Okay. So basically what I'll do is I'll just have them flying, again, like quite high up, and then they will alert me whenever they see something, and I'll just then use my action to take a look for myself. Yep. To be able to identify what it is intelligently rather than just being like, there's things that are out there. It'll be like, what are they? Oh, there's those things. Okay. And then relay to the group.
So I suppose, when would you want Ranu to alert you? Because again, there's things that are out there. Do you want like everything to be an alert, or just something that's getting close?
I think it would be anything that's close enough that either we're going to anything that's in the direction that we're headed, or to the side or behind us that's close enough that we might actually interact with them. Okay. Right? Because if it's like, if there's a bunch of lizards over in this area, then I'm going to want to know that so that we can, if it's close, so that we can then divert and then go hunt lizards to get food, but yeah, if it's really far off in the distance and it doesn't seem like I don't know, honestly. Yeah, if it in any way seemed like a potential threat, so if it was something in the distance that was big or was a lot of them, then yes. But just like a small number of things randomly out in the distance that we're never going to interact with, then I'm not going to want them bothering me with that. Although it would probably start off being like, oh, alert me to anything. Yeah. And then be like, oh, this is okay. Nope, let's narrow it down a little bit, Ranu. Okay. Oh, and nope, now you're wasting my time still. And yeah, so it would be a learning process of what, but it would start out as just anything.
Okay.
It's like, ooh, there's a thing over there. That's a rock. Thank you. That's a lizard that is 5 miles away outside of where we need to go. There's no way by the time we get there, it's going to be gone. No, thanks.
All right. Again, second day passes fairly uneventfully, as does the, assuming you camp and set things up. Again, not much that happens that night. Anything you would like to go over in that time?
I'm thinking Mint would have drunk a lot of water and eventually asked Tor for a piggyback ride and would have passed out on his back.
Yep.
I'm thinking that was my day.
All right.
I feel bad for Torok. He's got Mint as a piggyback. He's pulling this like shackled furbolg.
Yeah, I think Alphonse wants to talk to the furbolg.
All right.
So he's gonna he's gonna come up and is he still
Oh yeah. So second day. How's he doing? Second day being. Oh no, he's actually doing okay.
Yeah,
Again,
Turok is
it's not
wetting.
easy to sort of it sort of blocks a little bit of your breathing and that sort of stuff. But yeah, the gag is not comfortable, but he looks like he's doing okay today.
okay, because I think Alphonse would be concerned about that. So he will Alphonse will ask Tor.
You could always just get the furbolg to kneel and.
That's well, if they're like still walking, right? He doesn't necessarily want to. I don't know. Anyways, okay. So, Alphonse says to the furbolg, like after taking off his gag, how are things going for you on this trip?
The gag's a little annoying. He sort of stretches out his mouth a little bit and sort of wipes some sand out and that sort of thing. It's like, but I'm doing well enough. I'm comfortable in a lot of different terrains. Desert's not really one of them, but I can get by.
Alphonse nods and he says, desert's not so bad once you get used to it.
I'm a big target out here, so we'll see what happens.
Well, seems our friend here, and he gestures to Tor, has an interest in keeping you alive, so.
I am appreciative of that.
And I think everyone else is appreciative of you staying quiet.
You're not the only one who said so. I get the hint.
Alphonse shrugs and says, some things bear repeating. And he conjures a good berry and he hands the Furbolg's got his hands tied, but if he has like pockets or something, Alphonse gives him a couple of good berries.
Okay.
And says to Tor, maybe we can find some time to let him have the gag off for a little while.
Seems reasonable.
All right. He definitely appreciates that. I will say sometime late on the second day, if you would like to try and hunt, that Ranu would spot a couple hyenas that are not far away that could be hunted.
Gildy would want to hunt the hyenas.
All right. Just give me a survival check.
Sure. Let me make sure I'm looking at the right character sheet first.
Tor is willing to help with that.
All right.
He's got pretty good survival and throw you an extra die.
Okay. Survival. Nice.
Oh, wow.
Yep, no problem. you go off and bring back a couple hyena carcasses that can be. You don't have much to create fire with, but I'm assuming through magic and other means you have ways to cook these things.
I have a tinder box.
Yeah, but you don't have much to burn.
I'm also carrying a torch. But yeah, like you said, it's not a lot.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Right, not that kind of dragon.
Hmm.
I mean, well, a couple of us have fire spells, and I have prestidigitation that can start a campfire.
Yeah.
But it is a matter of fuel, but yeah.
You can't burn the furball.
no, but you
No.
managed to cook it enough that people are able to eat a little bit of something different other than some rations for one night.
Turok provides induction cooking. It's fantastic.
All right.
Oh, and I should actually mention that Leon would have expressed interest in the +2 bow.
Hmm.
So if that was something, as long as no one had any objections.
Yeah. All right. +2 longbow. All right.
How would I longbow +2?
There it is. Yeah.
There it is. Oop. All right. And I think Leon would definitely be spending some time trying to get a sense of like whether people's feelings have changed towards her or not. No, towards her.
Give me an insight check.
I can't find my longbow. Insight. Insight is. Ooh. I am insightful today.
All right. I would say that's good enough. How do people feel about Leon at this point? That isn't, extremely deep, secretive feelings.
Gildy's a little apprehensive, but not full on avoiding of Leon. She was just surprised, and she's not often surprised by people. So that it just kind of threw her for a loop, and so she's just a little apprehensive and wondering like at where does that pragmatism line lie, and how can Gildy stay on the correct side of that line?
Oh wow, okay. Wow.
Tor honestly believes he's doing this to save you.
Well, and I think it's pretty clear too that like Leon has now completely like surrendered herself to being on this quest, and is like completely and utterly respectful of Torok's beliefs, and like that Torok is now in charge and Leon is consistent, like never comes within like 20 feet of the furball kind of thing, just completely stays away from him, clearly making it clear that she's not a threat, and that like he's now clearly off limits, and that Torok is in charge.
Yeah. Talon isn't apprehensive of Leon. Talon takes a bit more time probably to think things through, but Talon has had secrets of his own, and so he sort of understands keeping things to oneself, and that it doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't trustworthy. So Talon's just kind of processing that. Talon's also wondering why, for someone who lived in Dell, that Leon had come from the desert direction this way, and that 20 days ago, and that now Leon's sister came from the same direction, again, not from Dell. And so he's thinking about that, but he hasn't asked any questions about it.
So Mint kind of is looking at how war-torn everything sort of is all over, and thinks that Leon's immediate reaction was probably more of a wartime sort of solution to things, and was driven through the idea of self-protection more than anything else. And because remembering back to when Leon trusted all of us with the secret of hers, that it is a very, very big secret, and so can understand why the death of the person was a very immediate thing. Just kind of surprised that she was willing to do it herself, and not necessarily talk it through with all of us. And I'm guessing that kind of speaks to, she probably figured we might have talked her out of it, which we kind of did in the end, but she was open to that. So happy that this is the current path we're on, but also concerned because it is such a long period of time that things could go sideways. So she's not wary of Leon, more wary of what could unfold as we're on this long journey.
Yeah. And Jacob?
I'm not sure how much Jacob would have been part of that initial in the house, because I was apparently flirting with a Golgath. But now all of a sudden, like, Talon got in my head a little bit about the way that Leon said my profession. I'm a little worried. Perhaps naming the horse after me was mocking me. No, be strong. She respects you.
Oh God.
I don't know anymore.
All right.
Oh.
All right. So yes, the next evening passes without any incident, and you begin day 3 out in the desert. And it is on day 3 that Ranu reports back to you that there seems to be trouble up ahead. And you can take
oh yeah, definitely says
check.
that there's trouble up ahead. Then I'm like, what is this trouble?
Yeah.
Big rock.
So
Is the rock moving of its own volition?
So we've now used 3 days of rations?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, we just had
No, you've used 2 complete days and you're on the 3rd day, I suppose, but yeah.
Oh, but we also did have food other than rations.
Yes, that's true.
That is true. Where did my rations go? Oops, I may have gotten rid of them. Whoops.
So one thing about my rations as well is, how many people am I feeding at this time? Am I feeding one of the twins and someone is feeding the other twin?
We'll say for now they have their own.
For now they have their own. Okay.
You haven't been that long in the desert. They've got their own sort of things that they can.
Okay. So I'll just
probably
be
weren't
spending
expecting
them on
to have this
myself.
long, so eventually that yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So-
Melinda has 7 days. I rolled terribly.
Yes, you did. That is awesome. Okay. So what you see is very clearly some giant, large form.
Okay.
And whether it's sort of aware of your presence or not, it seems to be like the direction that you'd be heading. There's some dunes, and it seems to be specifically maybe trying to hide, but otherwise sort of specifically on the other side of one of these dunes from where you think your group will sort of pass. With it are 3 smaller shapes that, even though you didn't roll great, you specifically have not so fond memories of these shapes. There are 3 death dogs with whatever this giant form is.
All right. I'm definitely reporting this to the group.
And
There are disgusting creatures, the double-headed dogs of disease and disgustingness with some giant creature that are trying to ambush us up ahead.
it also seems like whether or not they're with this giant creature or not, there's another 3 death dogs that seem to be sort of on the other side of another dune that potentially would sort of be on either side of you. So whether they're just happen to be there, or whether they're with this giant and they're trained to work in unison. You're not quite sure, but you see like 7 total figures, one of which is the giant, and the other 6 are the death dogs.
All right. Well, I'm definitely relaying this to the group.
Okay. What would the group like to do?
I'm going to draw weapons and keep my eyes on the horizon as we approach. But
Okay.
I don't feel the need to slow down yet. This is the reason why we have the numbers we do.
Can we get around them?
Probably.
Alphonse says he has a spell called Pass Without Trace, which could allow them to allow the group to get past.
Yeah, they would easily allow you to sort of sneak up on them if you wanted to get close and still attack them. It would easily allow you to sort of make a bit of a route around them. How long does the spell last? Is it an hour or 10
The
minutes?
spell lasts
I think it's an hour.
up to 1 hour.
Yeah.
It's a concentration spell.
Yeah. So I was going to say, like, just going around them would probably take you like an hour to 2 hours out of your way, just because you'd want to go sort of wide enough around them that you're not really in view. But with Path Without Trace, you could probably go, not that far out of your way, but otherwise not be seen, even tracking through the desert, or otherwise surprise these foes if that was what you would like.
Now, does that work if you said that they're hiding behind these dunes as if they've already seen us?
It seems like, again,
Well, we're traveling
you're traveling a relatively
path.
known sort of caravan route. Again, it's not necessarily a very specific, you're not on a road, you're traveling across the desert, but you think that they get the sense that there's people that pass by this area often enough, and maybe they got word somehow that there were people passing through the desert and were otherwise thinking that they'd prepare something.
And the giant creature, is it a giant like beast shape?
No, a giant humanoid shape.
Oh, okay. So it is a giant humanoid.
Yeah.
All right.
Golgath.
So Torok's thought is if we don't do something, the next group that comes around here will be the next victims.
It's good to scare them off or do worse to them if they mean to do harm to innocents who pass through. Yeah. A chance to be heroes.
Just for one day.
Actually, never mind.
All right. So did you want to then use the Pass Without Trace, but otherwise to sneak up on them?
That sounds smart.
I'm good with being sneaky.
Actually, Torok's got an idea.
Uh-oh.
Turok's brilliant idea is why we're walking through the desert.
If you guys all follow his plan, I'm going to be so mad at you.
No. Torok is going to walk up the middle while you guys go around, and then Torok's going to rage and draw them in. And then you can attack from behind while Torok's rage can happen without anyone else getting hurt.
Yep. Are you taking the Fearbolg with you?
It's not safe. You're his guard.
Oh no, I will trust someone else with the Fearbolg. Torok isn't that...
You could trust me with the Fearbolg. I'm really good at hog tying people.
Turok looks at you, make sure that you're sober finally.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't drink last night. Rub it in, why don't you?
So do we have a map?
We do, but given that the time change and everything else happened, I was not going to go much later than this. So I was going to take it as far as you pretty much get into place and are ready to attack, and we'll be rolling initiative first thing next time.
I was just wondering if we could get an idea of the setup.
All right.
Like where they are, especially because you said there were 2 groups.
Yep. Yeah. Give me one sec. Just need to do this. Go. All right, and I will just. Can I fill all of the map?
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, why are you not? Anyway, you can see that well enough. And top it.
Oh.
Which why it's not allowing me to. There it is. No. Apparently I can't hide that little bit at the bottom. That's not really hiding anything. Okay. Yeah, so you've got 3 up top and then 3 with the, as you get closer, you are able to identify it as a Cyclops.
Oh.
That is down below. And yeah, I'm going to extend the map a little bit for next time so you can actually come at them from sort of the below angle and surprise them while Tor comes up the middle.
Nice.
All right. So yes, we will roll initiative next time for potentially a quick fight to dissuade these attackers. And yes, thank you very much for joining us on this eventful and yet relatively quiet week of the next level. We hope to see you again soon. The magic number only got rolled once, but we did have some fun with that. And Jacob will have some lasting effects that have not yet been revealed. So I've made note of those. And yeah, should be interesting. We'll see you next time on the next level. Take care.